Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. This is the most important thing you can listen to today.
Hello, this is Josh McCown, and I'm sorry for interrupting the beginning of your favorite podcast. I know, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, you're going to have to wait a second before we get started because it's time to announce something very special. Learn and grow. Have you heard this expression on the show before? Learn and grow is a time for us as a capital hacking tribe to get together, come together within the Accountable Equity Learn and Grow Mastermind Summit hosted at Renault Winery on December 2nd and actually become a community, a mastermind. Remember Jim Rohn, the great business philosopher? He said, we will become the average of the 5 people we spend time with. And wait until you see how great the people are in that room. There's a community from all over the country that'll be flying in. We'd love to have you join us. There'll be great speakers, great content, and you could be in that room. If you haven't had a chance before, please visit the accountableequity.com site, choose Learn and Grow, and register today.
Here's the one.
I have a dream.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I could do this all day.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Cinderella's story out of nowhere.
It's in the hole. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Welcome back to the big show, Capital Hacking. Your good buddy Josh here with the world famous John Edwin.
Yes, sir. And today we speak to Chad Gallagher, and he drops some really, really wise information in here. And so definitely listen all the way to the end because he starts dropping bomb after bomb. And one in particular that I want you to pay attention to is always make time to get in the room, to get yourself educated, whether you're going to be a real estate investor or not, because you don't know who you're going to meet.
Yeah, meetups and other events. We'll get to that. You know, and if you're looking for bullets, okay, you're like, well, tell me what's in the show. I only have a few minutes here. You got to tease me. We're going to get into the state of real estate investing today, the strategies of negotiation that are working today, how to overcome the high interest rate at the mortgage level. We're going to talk about, first of all, remember this guy, it's a three-peat. Okay. This is his 3rd time at the plate on Capital Hacking.
Dynasty.
All right. He's got a dynasty going. Episode 71, we had Chad on. It was called Tech Guru Becomes Real Estate Guy. And then episode 259, where John and I got to introduce Chad to you again, and he talked all about leveraging and growing a business. Today, we push it all together a little bit, and we talk about his passion for building meetup groups so that you can create rooms and or join the room and change the way you understand investing. One step, one word at a time, one handshake at a time. And then we're going to get into deal, and we're going to talk a little bit about a deal he and I just put under agreement for Accountable Equity. I think you'll love that. And then the punchline of all of this, as John said, is we are adding Chad to the roster of keynote speakers for the December 2nd Learn and Grow event, which is the Accountable Equity event hosted at Renault. So if you've been thinking about being there, I got Chad signed up. We have a lot of great people. We even hopefully are going to have John and Christine Edwin there, but we'd love to have you there. Hit accountableequity.com and register today.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
You're in a room full of all very smart people, accredited investors. And yes, Christine and I will be in attendance at the Renault December 2nd.
Baby. All right. We're going to have fun with this show. I hope you have seatbelts because you're going to need them with this one. Talk to you soon.
Cheers.
So we're going to jump into it today, John, with Chad Gallagher. It was great to reconnect with him. I know you're excited. I'll let you take off, John.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Chad, give us your backstory. And I hear there's some exciting things going on. So let's dive into that right after your backstory.
Yeah. Well, today's a wild day, first of all. And we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so the backstory is I was in digital advertising for about a decade, had a good run. And my best friend growing up, actually literally on a trip down the turnpike of Pennsylvania, convinced me that we should invest in a real estate property together. And we did. And that kicked off really a decade of investing in real estate. We now own a fairly large portfolio that has a whole sorts of different investments in it. We also created a property management company, which we then sold about 2 years ago. At one point, we were managing 5,000 properties in that management company, 100 employees. So a fairly large company. Sold that as part of a merger into a larger property management tech company. And along the way, so I've invested both actively in real estate, mostly doing BRRRR type investing, buying in cash and then refinancing out later. We've also invested passively in various deals with operators that we felt could both diversify our investments. Also, we do believe in investing passively in people we think we can learn from, and things we believe in. And by the way, Josh and some of his properties, Renault and Kent Manor being some of those. And then the next kind of evolution of where we're headed to is, along the way, one of the secret sauces we've had was building these free real estate meetup events as a place for people to gather and come together and learn. I have attended one of those a week for a decade. So I am a highly experienced real estate meetup guy. And I find it to be an absolutely incredible way to learn about real estate. And this next evolution, one of the things we're doing is kind of continuing to build out our own community, which we call Real Estate Hackers. I can talk about that more in a second, but we see that as a tool that we can kind of give to people all over the country.
Yep. So, John, I appreciate you letting me invite the good old-fashioned fella, Chad Gallagher. It's his third time on the big show. He was on episode 71. We called that The Tech Guru Becomes a Real Estate Investor. And episode 259, where you and I interviewed him about scaling a company, both which were interesting episodes. At some point along the journey, we became partners as you've joined our projects. We appreciate that, Chad. And today, I'm excited to make an announcement that Chad is one of the keynote speakers at the December 2nd Learn and Grow that you guys keep hearing commercials about. This is actually a magic blend of your two worlds here, Chad. So what is Learn and Grow real quick? It is when you combine a group of accredited investors that want to learn and grow together, and we build a platform that allows people to do it in multiple ways, passively, actively, networking for relationships. And I'm excited for what you're going to bring to the community December 2nd, buddy. So with that being said, there's a couple superpowers I would love for you to teach us a little better. You teased it in your intro, this idea of a meetup. Sometimes we've called this Capital Hacking Show an audio mastermind. It could also be an audio meetup. I feel like people get through these conversations, they get to actually just hear how other people make deals come together. And I've witnessed a lot of your real estate hacker meetups. Can you just dig in a little deeper about how you figured out that was your path to expand your business?
Yeah, I think what I started to learn pretty quickly was, I guess I realized I had a lot to learn in investing. My parents were school teachers. I love my parents dearly. They were incredible, grade A parents, anything you could ever ask for. And that prepared me to go to college and to eventually get a job. But what I didn't know was really anything about investing in real estate, or even just investing overall in passive or active places. And to be honest, so I went to the University of Virginia. I got an amazing engineering degree. 4 years, a heck of a lot of money I spent there. And I also didn't learn really anything about investing or real estate or anything like that in college. And so I started to say, okay, if I'm going to do, like, I had this personality. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it great. No matter what I'm going to do, I seek to be the best at whatever I'm trying to do. And I realized pretty quickly, holy cow, I have a lot to learn about investing. And what I realized was, when you go to the random grocery store or you go to the bar down the block, you don't really come in contact with like-minded people who have this desire to really grow their investments. I mean, it sounds kind of, I don't know, weird or sad or crazy. I don't know. But you think about it, you go about your daily life, you go to the gym, you go here, you go there. When people want to talk about it, stuff like, who Taylor Swift is dating or whatever.
By the way, that's a big story right now.
Yeah. Like, I don't care who Taylor Swift is dating. I don't even care who Taylor Swift is.
I do.
Okay, you care. I don't care.
And she's going to write a song about it.
Right.
Sorry.
I don't listen to her music. I don't care about her. What I care about is, no, and seriously, what I do is like, how do I, create investments and wealth? That's like really important to me. And so I realized that these events that at first I started to attending other people's events. Over time, we started to organize our own. And there's different forms of these things. Sometimes there's 20 people in the room. Sometimes there's 200. But I'm seeking to go for a couple reasons. One, I find it an amazing place to hear a speaker talk where I can consume information, usually for free or a very low amount of money. But what I find to be more impactful is not, the speaker is great and their content is usually helpful. And what I find helpful as a speaker is it's less about their content, but it gets my wheels going. It opens up the creativity juices and the motivation for me to start to think how I could use those ideas and that thinking in my own life, or to push myself to move forward faster. And the second big thing I get out of these events is the ability to actually meet people face to face, to understand their story. And I literally cannot tell you how much positive stuff that has given me over the last decade. I mean, I just take, all of you. I actually met you either at an event originally, or I went to an event and that introduced me to you guys. So I think it's amazing, and it's a great way to change your life.
Chad, you hit the nail on the head. Actually, I've been to one real estate event, I think, in my entire life. Met up with an old high school buddy who I fell out of touch with, and we reconnected, and actually we partnered up, and we probably did 15 to 20 flips together, me and my buddy Jim. But then I didn't go to any others. And you're absolutely right. When you go to certain types of meetings, whether they be real estate investing, whether it be masterminds, that's where we met, by the way. You came to Black Powder Tavern at a GoBundance event that I was running. Yeah. And Matt Faircloth brought you. But yeah, when you go to these events, it keeps your mind in the game. And wow, I've never thought of it that way.
And by the way, don't you feel like that's what these shows do too, John? We're helping people get into a new momentum, a new mindset. Yeah. I love meetups, and Chad, I've been to some of your meetups. I will tell you, the thing that you do well is, one, you take it very seriously, but you have this kind of very comfortable personality. So even though the way you talk is very deliberate, so we know you're very smart, and I've heard you negotiate. You also do it there too, but you're also very warm. And you let people at all different levels of the game sit in the room. Not necessarily, you mean mostly all levels of awareness of the game, right?
Yeah, it's right. I'll tell you, I always tell this, not always, but I tell a story. The first ever meetup I went to was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There must have been 65 people in the room. And I was sitting in the back row. I remember after the meetup, a couple people came to me and said, "So Chad, what do you do in real estate?" Look, I didn't even know what the multiple choice options were. I mean, I didn't, not only did I not have an answer, I didn't even know what answers there could be. I mean, I said, I do nothing, and B, I don't know what to do or how this works, but by golly, I took a lot of notes today, and I love your card. If you have one, to shoot you an email sometime. And, so I say that to say, the way I view events is, a successful event is one where someone can walk in the room who has never invested before and get value and feel welcome and have a great time. And someone who has been doing this for a decade can walk in and find value and be excited and be motivated and move their business forward. And I think that if you think about it that way, that actually is an interesting kind of event, because I've been to events. I went to an event one time, actually, I'll never forget, in New York. And, it was this old man's club where no one was really welcome. And I just happened to kind of stumble upon it. And it was like one of those, screeching halts of the room when I walked in, like, who's this new kid walking in? And I always said, that's not the kind of event I want to hold. I want to hold an event where everyone new is welcome, but we also can have sophisticated content where people can get a lot of value and move their business forward.
Yeah. Now, we're going to get into it in a minute about the future of real estate hackers, because I know you're working on this, which I believe in a way you swindled our name, Capital Hacking. I believe you were there when we created Capital Hacking and you swindled our name a little bit. Is that a truth?
Yeah, it was simultaneous. And I promise I did not know
The
about
truth
Capital
comes
Hacking
out.
name.
Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
I
Was it
didn't.
this? Eric Cabral called me afterwards and he apologized that you chose that. He's like, he had just told
I
you.
chose the name before. Yeah.
This is a debate. Okay. It doesn't matter. We love either one.
The URL was acquired before Capital Hacking launched.
Okay. Let's go back. I wasn't going to get into that. That was a sidebar. I forgot to even joke about before.
Me, actually. You picked mine.
Let's go back to where this all began for you, because you're a teacher's son. You're an engineer student. I actually am going to posit from listening to your story, which we're about to flesh out, one new part of the story you don't talk about much, is you spent a lot of time in a tech startup as a young guy.
Yeah.
You were in sales business development for a tech startup, a digital ad, I believe. I imagine that's where your mind shifted into abundance and into the ability to put capital together, because I think you saw it all happen in real time.
Well, you know what? Actually, it was for me, it was actually less about capital. It's actually more about entrepreneurism. Around the time when I started, actually around when I was graduating college, I happened to read a few books on entrepreneurism, and I just loved every bit and morsel of the idea of building a company. And when I was younger, I had a grass mowing business that I loved. And I watched my friends go to the local grocery store and get paid $6.50 an hour, while I got paid $20 to cut grass. I was paid in cash. I made my own hours. Pretty soon I got one of my friends involved to start cutting grass as part of the thing. And so that actually started before I even got involved in capital. The first step for me was just this absolute love of entrepreneurism. And once I started to love entrepreneurism, then I realized I should actually try to get a job. My mentor in college had known someone who started a digital ad tech startup and said, look, Chad, if your dream is to start a company, this is the company to go to. You can get paid to basically learn from the best, from the folks who are doing it at the highest level. And I do think that lesson, I hope there's a few takeaways from the show, but one of them is for folks who are either figuring out their next jump in career or their first career jump, or they're mentoring, kids who are younger, their kids or whoever. I think taking a job that can set you up for your next thing you want to do in life is like really compelling. And I think most people optimize for the highest pay. In engineering, optimization is like a big deal. And so same thing in digital advertising. And so, I think I saw all my friends from college. My girlfriend at the time, she took a job at a consulting company because they offered $5,000 more in pay than the job I took. And, I look back on it in time and say what I learned and frankly, what I made over 10 years there dwarfed the $5,000 initial pay. But that was because I was optimizing towards where I want to go in my life and using the job that I took as actually a jumping platform to start companies.
The guy once endorsed this show and then he became famous. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. He also wrote a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he teaches right at the beginning of the book, the rich do not work for money. They don't work to earn, they work to learn. And I do think, we had a talk on one of the earlier shows, John, about Luke Edwin, who's taking a job or an internship. And it's not about the money. It's about the proximity and the access to a new mindset. And he's going to work to learn more than work to earn. So that principle, please, if you're listening now, John and I can put you to work. If you want proximity and you want to work to learn, we got opportunities, my friend. So if you're listening right now and you want to follow up and do what Chad did, we got some great opportunities at Accountable Equity in our businesses. So hit me up on LinkedIn and mention Chad Gallagher. You get a $5 discount. But in the meantime, John, do you have something you want to add to this incredibly dynamic conversation?
Well, I just want to tell our listeners a quick story about today. And I do Wim Hof breath work every morning, and I take cold showers and do this stuff. It's called Wim Hof. Wim Hof. It's the name of a guy. I don't know that he started it, but he definitely got his name out there. It's breath work. It's hyperventilation. Then you exhale and you hold your breath for 2 minutes, and I do 3 rounds of that. And on my second round, as I'm holding my breath, I see Josh calling me. And when I see Josh call, I always pick up. And so I said, Josh, what's up? So I exhaled and caught my breath a little bit. He said, what do you think about Chad Gallagher getting on the show today? That's what he said. He said, what are we going to talk about? And then he just literally hung up on me after that, by the way.
Oh, come on.
You did. You sent me a text. Sorry, I didn't mean to hang up on you.
So John, I don't do the Winkelhoff breathing exercises like you
Wim
do.
Hof.
But I will say, I didn't even get that. All I got was a calendar invite for 3:15.
Amen, brother. That's what we got. Matt, what's that called? Optimization? What did you call that earlier, Chad?
Yeah, optimization.
Why
call people and tell people what you're doing? Just do it.
Put it on the calendar. Well, now let's shift into some of the meat and potatoes. So, okay. Chad, you have superpowers about meetups. I think we need to live that lesson. We're going to make a special announcement again at the end about why meetups can change lives. And what if you could surround yourself with an even more established meetup and get into the room? We'll talk about that. The other thing I'm excited about is some of the work you and I are doing together and going after properties. And excited. I hope by the time this show releases, we have it under agreement, but we're going after a big project. And this is the tease about your idea of the new era of acquiring properties in a high interest rate. Can you tease some of the things you're going to be teaching at our next live event and what we've learned working together?
Can we talk about what happened today? Are we allowed to talk about
Sure.
that?
Yeah, go ahead. Here, this is a deep real dive. No, what do they call it? A deal real dive, not a deep.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So look, I think today's a good example. So we, the biggest deal I've ever put together, actually, the biggest real estate deal I've ever put together. Let's put it that way. Today came together, super exciting, super pumped is what we say in Real Estate Hackers. So we put together we are going to buy this Bohemia Manor farm.
You had to give the name away?
Oh, should I not do that?
No cloak and dagger, no secrets, no.
Okay. We're not supposed to say the name. You'll bleep out the name. Can you bleep out things? You can bleep out things. Now I got Josh laughing. Okay.
So what do you think? I got like world-class producers producing this show, which I do, by the way. Thank you, producers.
Someone can bleep it out. Well, we are buying an awesome venue, and it sits on 300 acres of farmland and vineyards, a whole winery production facility, a manor house dating back, I think, like the 1700s.
The property dates back to the 1650s because it was
there you go.
Part of the original land grant of Lord Baltimore.
There you go.
It is a storied property.
Yeah, it's and look, I think there's a few themes that I'm heading to in my investing journey. This one checks all the boxes, and one of them is the concept of investing for the next 20 to 30 years, not investing for something for the next 6 to 12 months. I think this is like a new era of real estate investing. I actually feel pretty strongly about that the more people I talk to. And I think that over the last decade, we had a very specific strategy. And that strategy, honestly, hinged around a couple things. We thought real estate was overall undervalued. We also thought interest rates were very low. And so we wanted to use those two pillars to acquire a whole bunch of real estate and acquire it in a certain way. And usually that was buying cash and refi out and make use of these low interest rates to lock in long-term loans. Look, the world's changed. And a lot of people are complaining about this new world order of real estate in, frankly, elevated equity pricing for a lot of properties. And also, clearly, interest rates are higher. And I view everything in the world as an opportunity. And I think that this new approach and era of investing, this property is checking a few of those boxes. And one of them is investing for properties that you're excited to own in 20 to 30 years. In 20 to 30 years, look, the market's going to change a ton. There's going to be ups and downs. But if you believe this is an asset that's going to double or triple over 30 years, which we 100% believe it will, it's a good buy. And so I'm excited about that. We love the concept of buying properties that are hard to reproduce. This one is hard or impossible. Amazing views of the water, amazing vines for growing grapes, amazing event space, historical property. So that all gets us really excited. And then I think that the way you buy properties and the way we bought this is totally different too. We are really excited about, I think that over the last decade on the buy side and the sell side, it was maybe less of a partnership because a lot of times someone would buy it in cash, and buying in cash, there's not really as much to kind of talk through. I think now we're definitely moving towards a win-win situation where a seller may say, this is interesting. If I actually keep some money or some assets of some type in the deal, it allows me to, over time, absolutely make more money through the purchase. There's all sorts of tax advantages to doing it this way. And on the kind of buying side, we can create this opportunity to actually pay more for the asset, but do it in a way that creates cash flow for the owner of the property. And so I think, creative deal making the next decade will be wildly essential towards creating wealth.
Yeah, you hit it on the head there. I love it. And so 300 acres, what is it being, is it currently being used, number one? And number two, Josh, you can answer this, or Chad, you answer it. What is the vision for what you're going to create there?
Yeah, so it's being used today partially. So they are growing grapes, they are producing wine, there is wine tasting and various events like that, and there is a small amount of weddings that occur at this property. The houses are actually lived in partially, so they're not being used at all for guests. But there's a small kind of 30 weddings a year that occur at the property.
Yeah, and stay tuned for all the details because you guys got to go back to radio broadcasting 101, which is like, you got to have some cliffhangers, folks.
Okay, all right.
Some cliffhangers.
Right. Don't tell them everything.
There will be more to this business plan, but ultimately
we're transparent men, Josh.
We can be, but you got to have anticipation in this.
Okay.
That's why Christmas presents come on Christmas, not today. All right. So there will be a day when we go through the deal full dive. That was a deal real dive, but there's a full dive. So, I mean, the things that catch our attention are, you just tapped into something Accountable Equity was preaching a year ago called legacy wealth investing or legacy asset investing. You're buying something to have a legacy. And one of the innovations I think Chad and I and the teams are working on is, okay, and then we're going to have good cash flow. We're going to build a new cash flow engine at these properties, but we are buying something intrinsically worth more than what we're probably paying for it. And then when we overlay businesses on that, now it throws off two wins. And this is the other thing that people miss, that I don't explain very well about, doing things like what we do, is we basically are buying a business and a intrinsic real estate asset. And we plan on building a few more things to accentuate the parcels, which means we'll be adding value to the real estate. And then with Chad's dynamic entrepreneurialism and our business's reputation for being able to create new and dynamic profit centers, now we're building a whole business on top of another business's value. And it's like a double win. And it allows legacy perpetual wealth creation. So I'm excited. I'm glad you are teaching that. And I'm also glad about the way you do win-win designed.
Yeah, I think,
purchases.
it's interesting when I think the thing that people just really screw up in real estate is, man, like, you have to slow down and you have to understand who the heck you are talking to and what they want. And, what someone else wants may be not at all what you think they want. And so I think just slowing down and actually understanding who you're working with and what their goals are. This is like the kind of thing you learn pretty early on in any kind of a negotiation setting is you're not trying to, I think people think in real estate, you're trying to win the negotiation. And that is the wrong approach. Oftentimes the best negotiations, if you do it right, you're actually going to get both sides more money over time. And so you are as focused on the other side and optimizing and helping them achieve their long-term goals. And when you think that way, it's like a complete 180 of how most people negotiate, of trying to just push down price. Whereas I think, well, I'm not here to push down your price. I'm here to help you do what you want to do to the best. And the better I understand that, the better I can help you achieve your goals. And that's not, it's not, by the way, it's not BS. People can see through BS. I mean, like actually sitting there and caring about someone. And that may take some time to really go through the few layers, because maybe what they think they want, they don't really want, but you really understand what they want with the asset, what they want the future of the vision to be of the property, what they don't want, how they want money to flow through, what their tax situation is. All these things matter in how you kind of construct the deal.
Great lesson there, Chad. Awesome.
So, John, at this point, I want to make sure everybody knows how to follow up with Chad, but also how about we introduce Chad to the world of accountable equity, as he's already been an investor for years, but he is going to be a keynote December 2nd. I already shared it. And we're going to be talking about this. We're going to dive deep into a couple new topics we haven't really done together at Learn and Grows. And these Learn and Grows, it's primarily for the accredited investors that either already invest with us or that are thinking about finding about this type of accredited investing. And we want to share a lot of opportunities for people, more than just what we do in life. We want them to find value in this meeting. Maybe they meet partners, maybe they buy a house together with somebody else or buy an investment. And I think you're the greatest case study of how that all came to fruition. And I love what you're going to be teaching about the new era of real estate investing.
Yeah, I think it's like a huge game changer. And I think whether you want to invest passively into someone else's project or you want to invest actively, I think it all really is important to think about. I think it's funny when people can't find time to come to an event. You think about how much time you spend doing things that aren't that important. By the way, maybe that's having a job or, watching the latest Netflix show or something.
Did you say having a job? Hold on. You said having a job.
Yeah, I think this is more important than your job is. I really do.
I do like when people have good jobs too, though. We have one.
No, good jobs are good, but I used to jump out of my job early to go meet people who would teach me how to use wealth better. And I think that's like really important.
No, and that's the type of conversation. I mean, your personality is like the personality of a lot of the people that will be in the room. So could you imagine that Jim Rome philosophy? Put yourself in the right room, the five people you're around the most, you become that average. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. Chad, you bring up an excellent point, because people work every day for money and they don't ever take time to educate themselves on how to utilize their money to make money, right?
That's good.
A friend of ours has a great slogan and it says, every dollar has a job.
Yeah, I agree. One of my friends is a doctor, and I was just visiting him a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking him through some different tax concepts. And he was just like, Chad, I spend all my time in a hospital with other doctors, and I can tell you, we haven't once thought about this. I mean, everyone is thinking about how can I either make more money or how can I get more vacation? And ultimately, how do I retire faster? And not once have I ever thought like, if I invest a certain way, maybe I can have the freedom to do things my own way. So I think it's important. And I want to tease an idea for the group. Can I do that? Is that okay? So one thing we do, I believe like really strongly in really just kind of trying different concepts, kind of launching things and seeing what the world thinks of them. And this audience is like really sharp, really entrepreneurial all over the country and probably world by now. So we're working on something. We had this idea that in real estate investing, you need this like crazy list of vendors and people to work with. By the way, no matter how you want to do it, right? Whether you want to own one property in one place or you want to own a bunch or whatever. So we're putting together this list of essentially verified and vetted vendors. So think kind of like Angie's List, but for someone who wants to have that list in the real estate world. Some of these are national folks, some are local. So think your local plumber, your local roofer. And it's free. It's free for people. Yeah, we think the world kind of needs this, and we're interested in kind of open sourcing it to create this really valuable list where John Edwin can plug in and let us know who are the vendors that he finds really valuable. We can add those, and over time we can work with all sorts of folks to build this like really comprehensive list of trusted vendors. We've kind of started this at realestatehackerz.com, and we're in like, phase one of what will be kind of a long journey here. But we think it's really interesting because finding people you can trust, by the way, this includes people to invest in their syndications. It also includes banks who are trustworthy, or 1031 exchange companies. I just met a great 1031 exchange company who gets things done really quick, but is trusted. So it's like, it's anybody who wants to invest, this kind of like open crowdsourcing model of bringing together vetted companies and then allowing people to kind of give feedback. Very similar to how you'd see like a Yelp or an Angie's List, but those things aren't made for investing in real estate.
I love it. And you threw out there 1031 exchange company. I got to ask this question since I'm wondering if somebody else is thinking it. When you talk about an exchange company, is this like a facilitator, or do they actually have deals to put the 1031 money into? I've never heard of an exchange company.
Yeah. So they're the facilitator. So basically, when you want to do a 1031, you have to actually you have to bring in the intermediary, and that's where your money goes in the meantime. The problem is, imagine you're doing a 1031 exchange and you're exchanging $200,000 or maybe $2 million. That means you're putting that check in someone else's wallet.
See. Yeah.
And if they're not trusted, you may never see that money again.
Okay.
And I know that sounds ridiculous,
point.
but we actually have a mutual friend we had a mutual friend who this happened to, he worked with a company that went belly up in the meantime, and the money was gone. And so I think in real estate, there's over 50 vendors you need, and it's really hard to find people you can trust in that journey. And John, this is what you do. I'm sure you see some agreement here, I would imagine.
Yeah. You just brought up a point. It didn't even cross my mind. My wife and I and a partner did a 1031 exchange earlier this year. And I don't know how we got referred to them, and they were awesome. They were great to work with, and the pricing, I think it was like a flat rate of, let's say, $1,200, something like that. It was super cheap. But I never even thought about, I'm placing my money into this account and it may disappear. It didn't even cross my mind. So thank God it did work out. But geez,
I won't tell the story, but we all have a mutual friend who placed their money with a company, a lot of money, went to get the money, and the money was gone. And by the way, that's a 1031, but then play that through with everything. Think self-directed IRAs, think a new roof, right? I mean, in real estate, you are moving a lot of money around and you're trusting someone to do something on the other end. And sometimes that's put a quality roof on. Sometimes it's to come through on a loan. Sometimes you're putting money with a syndicator like yourself, Josh. And so what are you looking for? You're looking for trusted and vetted people and companies who can do what they say they're going to do. People call this build a team, but I have a real problem with that concept, because let's just take our 1031 example. What good is it to understand it, to have a 1031 exchange person on your team if you're not doing a 1031 exchange in the next couple of years? It's a complete waste of your time and effort and brain power. By the time you go to do it, that company might not even be available anymore. So the idea is, instead of trying to have to build a team, to kind of plug into a resource like this, an open source community that builds together the best vendors around. We think it's exciting. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can go to realestatehackerz.com or shoot me a note, or even better, come to Learn and Grow and kind of talk about all the crazy stuff we're seeing all over the country.
We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chad.
See you, buddy.
Damn straight.
We just got
buddy.
We got to the end of another great show. And everyone listening right now, you're the family and friends. Thanks for staying till the end.
That was so fun. And hey, hit the like, hit subscribe. We're here to serve you guys. That's why we're doing this show. Josh is not paying me. I'm doing this off of my quote unquote sweat equity because we want to make a difference in your life. And then that ripple effect will continue to touch the world.
Hey, amen, brother. Please check us out on capitalhacking.com, all the social media threads. And yes, I know you've probably already sent this episode to one of your best friends. Thank you. We love you. Just go right into your iPhone, hit the plus symbol. We'll talk to you later. See you next week.
Share.